So first of all, I say from Jerusalem, which is where I happen to be right now, Shalom and Erev Tov. Thank you so much for the introduction and for asking me to come and join. Am I going to jump in right now? I'm going to jump in right now. Absolutely. Shalom to everybody wherever you are right now. As Ron said, we're on day 39. When we talk about day 39, it's like, what does that exactly mean? I'm going to be personal a bit, 5.5 weeks. And what I want to try and describe to you now is, in hindsight, what we didn't necessarily know after 1 week, but that we understand much better after 5.5 weeks, what has happened, what Hamas's master plan was. To a certain degree, I'm going to talk about what they have succeeded in, but I'm also going to talk about the immense failures and where we're going right now. So first of all, on a personal note, and I'd like to share it with everybody, on October 7th in the morning, I was at home with my husband, 3 kids, all of my children, all serve in the military. The 2 older ones are officers. The younger one is computer programmer in the military. And I say that because for the last 5.5 weeks, I've been pretty much home alone. And you'd say that's the negative sense. And my husband was called up. All 3 of my children are serving. And today I have a smile on my face because my officer daughter in the Golani Brigade came home for the first time since the beginning of the war. So everybody, these are smiles nowadays, and we need to remember them. Every single one of us has a personal story. Hamas built a master plan. None of us like to think of it in those terms. When I say that Hamas, the terror hybrid organization, I want you to remember that term, terror hybrid organization. When they started this plan and this master plan, essentially at this stage, I'm going to say they probably started planning it a decade ago. That's a long time, 10 years of planning. When I talk about the master plan, we're pretty much right now in what I'm going to call stage 3 of their master plan. That doesn't mean that we are playing by what they did. But what is their master plan? What do I mean by that? Hamas planned an atrocious, barbaric, genocidal attack. That we all know. That's October 7th. But that's not the plan. The plan is to do an attack of unprecedented cruelty, hand in hand with kidnapping, taking hostages. That's part of the plan. But hand in hand with a media manipulation plan that was implemented and started long before the Hamas attacked Israel in such a brutal way on October 7th. Why am I saying that now, after 5.5 weeks? Because the media manipulation, the media master plan, the one that Hamas have implemented, started long before October 7th. And I am so hoping that right now there are some of you in DC listening to this from DC, participating in that. And you're all there because all of us are aware that when it comes to what has happened in the media, both social media and regular media, both in the United States and worldwide, that is part of Hamas's media manipulation and part of the master plan. I want to take it in stages. I want to try and give you a clear idea in that sense of the master plan and where we are right now and why I am so proud of the people I'm talking to in that sense that stand up and are with us and are withstanding this master plan. Hamas on October 7th did a physical attack, a barbaric, unprecedented, genocidal attack. They meant to do more. They meant to attack more communities. They meant to go deeper inside Israel. We actually did not get, in that sense, I'm saying that when we look at October 7th as a failure, and it was on so many different levels, but that is the amazing within that failure, not just of the heroism of Israelis at that day, but in stopping what was a much bigger plan. But in the plan itself, what they wanted to do was to attack in a very broad way to what they're going to say, expose Israel as weak. They haven't succeeded on that one. They have not succeeded in exposing Israel as weak, as the Israel supportive world is weak. They exposed their own atrocities. But what they wanted to achieve on Saturday, October 7th, was to present and this is part of that media manipulation, a presence that shows we Hamas strong, Israel weak. Why does that matter? Because on October 7th, they filmed themselves. They had GoPros on their foreheads. They uploaded it onto their phones. They live streamed it on their phones. And in the atrocities, as we're all aware, they live streamed much of the atrocities live to families. This is all part of terrorism. This is not a standing military that represents a people that has come to attack and to either conquer land or to change the situation. No, this is a terror organization that what it tries to do is to manipulate all of us. And I say, I'm manipulated. I don't know how to withstand the atrocities and what happened there. And I say that of me, Miri, because I'm talking about every single one of us right now. We have all been impacted by that manipulation, by that terrorizing of October 7th. But that's only part of the master plan. Because what that master plan is it goes out in two different ways. It is supposed to terrorize and scare us. And it is, and this is a hard concept for most people to understand, it is supposed to empower and embolden those who are doing the attack. It's supposed to empower and embolden those who support it. So they uploaded a view which showed Israel is weak, and look at what we can do, but this is based on decades of presenting a dehumanized Israel, a delegitimate Israel. All of us know that. I'm talking to an audience that for years we've all followed the challenges of delegitimizing Israel. But here what we're talking about is beyond that, dehumanizing Israel. When I do that in that sense, when I talk about that dehumanizing, how in the world did we not understand that they were doing this? I'm not giving this at all as an excuse, but I want you to be aware. Us people who are terror experts, those who are following these things, those who understood that there's a plan and they want to attack and that they want to present all sorts of different things, none of us, I know literally, none of us thought of these atrocities. None of us, and I'm going to say it's because we're human. And the dehumanizing aspect of a terror organization that dehumanizes the other side so that they can do these kind of attacks because they don't think that we're human at all is one of the gaps that I'm going to stand strong where we are right now. I'm not proud that we were absolutely wrong, the horrifying things that happened. But the fact that we're actually, because what it means right now for me as somebody in this arena is that I have to think like a terrorist. Can you imagine what that means to be able to think up a plan like this and to think that they'll implement it and that they actually didn't implement everything that they meant to? The second stage of their plan is not just to empower and embolden, as I said before, it has been, and you're all living that right now, absolute denial. What they have done pretty much from October 8th is that they not only deny the atrocities that happened on October 7th, but they removed, as far as they could in their own control, they removed all of what had been uploaded on October 7th so that we, Israel, we, the supporters of Israel, have to prove that the atrocities of October 7th happened. I'm saying this to all of you because you all know what I'm talking about. You're all going, we have to prove it. That was part of the master plan. The first stage, embolden and empower. The second stage is denial. This is the same equivalent. It can never be the same as that, but it is the same equivalent of Shoah denial, meaning it didn't happen. Prove it. It didn't happen. And each of us are sitting here and going, are you kidding me? We still have the remnants of the bodies. We haven't even managed to identify all the bodies. This is part of the master plan. That's part of the terrorizing. It's to make us doubt ourselves. How can we doubt it? It means that we have to be the ones who present and show to the world the atrocities. To be clear to all of us, when I, Miri, show the atrocities or talk about them, I'm not making friends. I may be finding people who will sympathize, but it is very difficult when you're the ones who are presenting the hardcore terrorism because they've tried to erase it. It is a double-edged sword, and it is part of the master plan. But there's a third stage. And we're in the third stage of their master plan, which is what they played into. First, attack and make everybody think that Israel is weak. We're not weak. Second, deny, 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 deny. Worked for the Nazis is going to work for them. It's working up to a certain degree because we're trying to prove it in that sense. But that's about the October 7th attack. Because the third stage is one that we see repeatedly, and it is based on many years of the delegitimizing of Israel, meaning what they have tried to do in a very clear-cut way is, for them, the hostages are a bargaining chip and defense. And the 2.2, almost 2.3 million people who live in the Gaza Strip are their defense. What does that mean? It means Hamas is both part of the Gaza Strip, came out of the Gaza Strip, is part of the people who live there. And a lot of people are like, so they're all to blame. They're not all to blame. I'll be nice right now. I don't know exact numbers, okay? But half of the people in the Gaza Strip do not support Hamas. That's already over 1 million people. I don't even know to tell you that the other half do support Hamas. Hamas is a terror organization. It most definitely has strong support, both in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank and beyond. But it isn't all of the people. And Hamas build on that in their master plan as a terror organization in the third stage. They built, over the last decade, systematically and clearly, both a defense system which is built above ground and below ground. Let's talk about those two different aspects because that's absolutely part of what we're living through right now. The underground is only for Hamas terrorists. The subterranean tunnel system that we all knew about, that didn't surprise anybody, but I don't think that any of us understand what it means. They have built their entire defense system, and look at some of the IDF tapes that have come out once we're in the Gaza Strip and we're starting to go and show them from up close. We're talking about openings that go down 20 to 30 yards, that go down into a system which is deep underground. That's underground. What do you put into the underground system? The terrorists themselves, who can travel underground on motorcycles, on small ATVs, underground. They don't have to be above ground. Why not above ground? Because the Israeli Defense Forces will target them. What do you do above ground? You have 2.3 million people. You build into the very crowded, it is one of the most crowded urban areas in the world. And you build into that urban area in a very systematic way. You build outposts, but these aren't military outposts. It's terrorists. What does it mean, an outpost? The window of an apartment in a 10-story building has the anti-tank launcher. The doorway of a building on the ground floor has the launcher that you're going to have with the suicide drones, the UAVs, the RPG launchers, all of these capabilities, all with 20 to 30,000 trained terrorist operatives that go down into the tunnels, pop up, fire, etc. That was all built up front. That's part of the master plan. As they've said in their own voices, they can take as many shaheeds for them as they're going to put it. They have no problem they don't have no problem, by the way, they're not suicidal, but they have no problem to sacrifice, because the sacrifice of the citizens, of those people who live, citizens, the people who live above ground, who don't want to die, the fact that they're hiding behind them, that sacrifice is the one which is putting immense pressure on Israel. We have to prove that they did the attack of October 7th. And we have to prove to the world that what we're doing is moral, ethical, let alone legal. I want to be clear to all of you. It is so legal, it's ridiculous. We are so much more legal than any other country. We look within the rules of law, and there are rules and legal elements of law. We're a military. We abide by the rules. Who doesn't care about the rules of law? A terror organization. But what has happened is, in that media manipulation, where the bulk of the world don't understand what is a military, how a military practices, what we do, how we do targeting, what we're allowed and not allowed to do. Remember my daughter who came home? I need her to be able to look in the mirror tomorrow morning and to know that she has a pure heart and a moral heart. I need every single soldier in Israel to know that afterwards they have to live with the decisions that they make. We never target civilians, but you're targeting terrorists, and those terrorists use the civilians as their defense. And I've said all of this without talking about the hostages. When we look at tomorrow morning, and I'm saying this not tomorrow morning, what day is today? I've lost my sense of time, Wednesday. But when we're talking about this day in, day out with all of us, Hamas's media manipulation has had an enormous impact. 500,000 people were out on the streets of London on Sunday. It breaks my heart.